Mabuhay or in Kapampangan luwid kayo. Welcome back to another video. It's me, Kirby Araullo, your friendly Pinoy historian. And if you are new to my channel, in this channel, I make videos about our people's history, our people's culture, and everything in between. So don't forget to like, share this video, comment down below, and subscribe. March is Women's History Month, and just a few days ago, Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon just came out. So if you've seen the trailers, and if you've seen the movie itself, or any of my reviews and reactions, you know, you'd see that women rule in the world of Raya. Women rule in Kumandra. So for today's video, let's look at some examples of fierce women in ancient Southeast Asia. From legendary queens to fearsome warriors in the battlefield. Many of whom were revered for their benevolence and wisdom, while a few of them remained controversial. So yeah, let's get to know some real-world examples of Raya, Sisu, and Namaari. Let's start with the Philippines. In the Philippines, we have Urduha, the legendary warrior princess in the travel accounts of Ibn Battuta from the 1300s. And although her true identity is still being debated by scholars, she has remained an empowering symbol for Filipino women, especially for the people of Pangasinan, where my own Lola is from. Next is Hara Humamay or Hara Amihan of Cebu, the smart, sophisticated, and beautiful queen of Cebu when Magellan expedition landed in the Visayas exactly 500 years ago this month in March of 1521. She is also known by her Spanish name, Reina Juana de Cebu. Today, she is often associated with the advent of Christianity in the Philippines and the revered icon of Santo Niño de Cebu. And the next five are my own ancestors. First is Kalangitan or Banwa in Kapampangan, also known as Dayang Kalangitan in Tagalog. The legendary Queen of Pasig who later ascended to the ancient throne of Tondo. She became the paramount ruler of Luzon, also known as Luzon, and her rule was said to be a golden age of prosperity and expansion for Luzon. She was also the beloved matriarch of many of Luzon's royal families. She is the mother of Raja Salalila and Panginwan, and the grandmother of Raja Matanda and Lakandula, the great-grandmother of Raja Sulaiman. Her title, Kalangitan or Badwa, means the embodiment of the heavens. Next we have Sasanban of Sapa and Namayan, also known as Dayang Sasaban, a beautiful princess of Luzon who sailed to Java and married the Emperor Soledan, also known as Angkawijaya of the Majapahit. Their son, known in Luzon as Prince Balagtas, was born in Java, but eventually he returned to rule in Luzon alongside his beloved wife, Panginwan. Her title sa Samban means the one who is worshipped. Panginwan of Luzon, the firstborn daughter of Kalangitan, who later became queen of her own domain. She married Prince Balagtas and together they ruled the ancient kingdom of Namayan. It was said that they also ruled the kingdoms of Balayan and Taal in what is now Batangas. Her title, Panginwan, means revered with divinity. Next we have Panginwan's own sister-in-law, Isneria, also known as Dayang Ismeria, the princess of Brunei and Sulu who married Salalila, the king of Luzon. And together they built and co-founded the pre-colonial walled city of Maynila. Isneria herself later became the sole Raja or the queen regnant of Manila after her husband's death, and her rule as Raja of Manila was marked by her wisdom to maintain peace and harmony in Luzon. She is the mother of Raja Matanda and Lakandula, and the grandmother of Raja Sulaiman. And in Brunei and Sulu, we have Ismeria's own mother, Putri Lela Menchanay, the legendary princess of Sulu and the beloved wife of the great Sultan Bolkiah of Brunei. And together they reigned over the golden age of the Sultanate, and their many children and grandchildren became rulers across Southeast Asia, from Brunei to Luzon, from Sulu to Mindanao, from Pahang to Sarawak, and many more. And you can check out my video about their love story and their legacy as a power couple in the links below. And now, let's go to Indonesia. In Indonesia, we have Mahendra Datta, the controversial widow queen of Bali and the mother of the legendary heroic king Airlangga. Although vilified in later accounts, her rule was actually one of prosperity and strength. In fact, after her death in the year 1011, she was deified deified and depicted as the major Hindu goddess as Durga, the goddess of war. Next we have Gayatri Rajapatni, the beloved matriarch of the Majapahit Empire's Rajasa dynasty, a highly influential queen who later became a Buddhist nun. She is best remembered for her beauty, charm, wisdom, and intelligence. And after her death, she was enshrined as the Bodhisattva Prajnaparamita, which means the perfection of wisdom. And she is the mother of Jagitarja. Jagitarja, also known as Tribuana Tunggadewi, the greatest empress of the Majapahit. Under her rule, the Majapahit Empire expanded rapidly and ushered in a golden age. She is revered for her valor, wisdom, and intelligence. She is also the mother of Hayamuruk, the emperor who ruled Majapahit at its peak. And after her death, she was deified as Parvati, the goddess of love and harmony. Next we have Ratu Kalinyamat. She was the queen regnant of Kalinyamat and Jepara on the northern coast of central Java. She is best known for leading thousands of warriors aboard hundreds of warships in her numerous expeditions against the Portuguese between the years 1550 to 1574. And despite being their enemy, she earned the admiration of the Europeans for her unyielding determination against the advent of colonialism. Nyai Rorokidul, the exiled princess in the Sundanese and Javanese oral traditions, who rose to power and became the mythological queen of the Southern Sea, also known as the Indian Ocean. Today, she is best remembered as the goddess of the sea, the protector of the Mataram Sultanate, and a popular source of inspiration for millions of Indonesians. Now let's hop on to Malaysia. First up is Puteri Gunung Ledang, the legendary and mythical princess who lived in Mount Ledang, also known to Europeans as Mount Ophir in what is now Johor. To this day, she has remained the most popular princess in Malaysian oral traditions. Next we have Puteri Walinongsari, the beautiful, legendary, sword-wielding princess of Inderapura in the old kingdom of Pahang, renowned not just for her beauty but for her skills in combat and for being a master of the indigenous martial arts known as Silat. Tun Fatima of Malacca, the beloved, young, mighty queen who led an army against the Portuguese and who also avenged the murder of her own family. It was also said that the Portuguese were way more afraid of her than the Sultan himself. She is also credited for expanding Malay influence by bringing together various Southeast Asian kingdoms from Malacca to Aceh, from Minangkabau to Borneo. Now before we begin with the second half of this video, just a reminder that this is not a complete list. There's just too many of these legendary fierce women in the ancient history of Southeast Asia. So if you have other examples from your own cultures, from your own oral traditions, from your own histories, let us know in the comments below. And before I forget, everyone I'm featuring today will also be part of the second issue of my book and coloring book series, Know Our Roots and Color Our Roots. So keep an eye out and check out the links below to pre-order your signed copies today. I'll be signing them in the indigenous by Bayan and Kulitan scripts of the Philippines. And I'm hoping to release them by the end of this month in time for Women's History Month. So don't miss out. Now back to our queens. Now let's go to Thailand. In Thailand, we have Queen Suryotai of Ayutthaya, who is best remembered for being fierce in the battlefield and her ultimate sacrifice in defending the freedom of her kingdom against the Burmese invasion, and the grandmother of the legendary King Nareswan, and of another warrior princess, the later Queen of Burma, Suphankanlaya. Suphankanlaya, although very little historical records survive about her, she is best remembered today in Thailand as an inspiring symbol of self-sacrifice and heroism. And we also have the famous Lady Mo of Korat, fondly remembered by her people as Grandma Mo. She is famous for courageously saving her people from the Lao invaders. Now let's go to Burma, or what is now Myanmar. In Myanmar, we have Manisanda, the Mon princess who later became queen of the ancient kingdom of Bagan, and together with her one true love and third husband, King Kensita, the empire ushered in an era of peace and prosperity between the different ethnicities of their kingdoms. And now let's go to Cambodia. In Cambodia, we have the enlightened sisters Jayaraja Devi and Indra Devi of the Khmer Empire. They were the beloved first and second wife of Jayavarman VII, the most powerful Khmer king in history. And together, they spearheaded many social programs for their people, regardless of their gender, such as the right to education, the right to property ownership, political power, and public health care. And this was all happening during the 1100s, when Europe itself was still deep within the Dark Ages. Today, the sisters remain the most influential women in Cambodia's long history. So now let's go to Laos. In Laos, we have Mahadevi of Lanchang, a controversial queen who was blamed for the death of 7 kings, despite the uncertainty of her own involvement. And although her true identity and legacy are still being debated by scholars, she is considered to be the only queen regnant in Lao history, someone who did her best to maintain political balance under a violent decade. In fact, her title, Mahadevi, means the Great Goddess. And for the Hmong people of what are now Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam, we have the mythological Niang Gao Zhua Pa, the most beautiful daughter of the dragon who married an orphan boy. She was a strong and virtuous heavenly princess who became a role model for the empowered Hmong women of today. So now, let's go to Vietnam. In Vietnam, we have the Trung sisters, the heroic sisters who led an uprising for their people's independence against the Han Dynasty of China between the years 40 and 43. And their determination and revolutionary leadership are seen as further proof of the respected position and the freedom of women in Vietnamese society. And lastly, but certainly not the least, for the indigenous Cham people of what is now Vietnam and Cambodia, we have the Lady Ponagar, the legendary matriarch of the Cham people. She was married to the Crown Prince of China, but later returned to her motherland in defiance against the Chinese Empire. She returned to her motherland where she became the founder and the queen of the independent and prosperous kingdom of Champa. And for almost 1,000 years, she has been worshipped by the Cham people, also known as the Orang Champa, as the benevolent mother goddess. In fact, the Na in her name, Ponagar, comes from the Austronesian word ina, which means mother, a word that we share in Filipino. So there you have it, a short introduction to the fascinating, fierce women of ancient Southeast Asia. In fact, countless other queens have also ruled across the many parts of Southeast Asia that I haven't mentioned yet. In places like Madura, Aceh, Solor, and Pasay in Indonesia, or in Patani in what is now Thailand. In fact, East Timor also had a long era of being ruled by countless indigenous queens. In reality, before the 1700s, there's actually a huge number of states being ruled by women in the region. Most of the time, it was under the rule of these majestic queens that the kingdoms of Southeast Asia flourished. There is a striking pattern found throughout the region that the rule of these queens were often characterized by peace, prosperity, and wisdom. In short, there has been too many golden ages under the fierce Southeast Asian queens. So if you think about it, if Europe had Elizabeth I or Queen Victoria of the Great Britain, or Isabella of Spain, or Maria Teresa of the Habsburgs, well, in Southeast Asia, we just have too many to even include in this single video. And this should not be surprising. It is not surprising to see strong women at the forefront of Disney movies like Raya and Moana, because many of these indigenous societies of what are now Southeast Asia and Australasia are egalitarian, if not fully matriarchal by nature. Women in these societies have always had a prominent role, from trade to marriage, from spirituality to sexuality, from education and the arts to politics, from the battlefield to diplomacy. Overall, the indigenous egalitarian societies of Southeast Asia and Australasia paved the way for the empowered women of the modern-day countries of Southeast Asia and the Pacific. In fact, to this day, many societies in modern-day Southeast Asia and Australasia remained matriarchal and egalitarian in practice, such as the Minangkabau of Sumatra and my own people, the Kapampangans of Luzon, and the diverse indigenous people of the Pacific. And throughout Southeast Asia's modern history, from World War II to the present day, women have always remained at the forefront of taking action to serve and defend our diverse people. So comment below if I miss anything. Like I said, there's just so many fascinating Southeast Asian women in our legends and the diverse histories of our diverse but interconnected people. And let me know which one of them you would like me to feature in a future video. We can make separate videos for each one of them. So let me know in the comments below. And to learn more about them, check out the links up here or down below for more resources. And keep an eye out for my upcoming book and coloring book about these fierce women of ancient Southeast Asia. And before I go, today's shoutout goes to Dio Sondoro from Indonesia, Sakdini Ratana from Thailand, Chania from California, shoutout to Lonely Les from Vietnam, and of course from the Philippines, shoutout to Shemuel Gallardo Vivar. Maraming salamat, terima kasih, dakala salamat, kapan krab, come on, watch out. And that is it for me today. If you like this video or learned a thing or two, don't forget to like, share this video, comment down below, and subscribe. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, show your support and please be my patron or get a copy of any of my books or any of the merch linked down below. And special thanks to all my patrons for all your love and continuing support in helping me make more videos like this. Again, maraming salamat po. Dakal pong salamat, daghang salamat, agyamanak. See you next time when Tagalog kita kits and in Kapampangan. Mikitix!